Welcome back, sixth graders. Today I'd like to show you some examples of the circle grid tree that were the inspiration for this project that you are currently working on. So in front of you, you see an example by an artist named Loretta Grayson, and she combines acrylic paint with fiber art. So you can see some macrame and fiber embroidery type work down here. And you can see the concept of the circle with the tree, the grid work behind it, and the pattern and design within the tree. Here's some close-up examples of her work. You can see lots of detail in the grids. We're not going to get that fancy with ours, but I really love what she does here. And here's just some more examples of this artist's work. She does a lot with fibers, which is material or thread. Here's some close-ups of her grid tree. And you can see that she does it in paint. Here's the paint. Right. So some beautiful work. I love the way this artist uses color. And I think it's a great idea, which is why we're stealing it. Here's another example. Here she has several circle grid trees and one paper. This looks like it's a watercolor. And I'll just scroll down. Here's some more close-ups. Any of you crochet? This looks like a crocheted blanket with the whole idea of the grids, creating artwork. Here's some more circle grid trees, a little stack of them. So I think it's important that you understand where our inspiration is coming from, and we are borrowing an idea from an artist. So this is Loretta Grayson. Now, we're going to go back to your project, and I'm going to show you the next step so that you can keep working. Yesterday, you should have been able to sketch out your tree with the branches ending at the circle, with your trunk of the tree angling down towards the ground and going right off the edge of the page. The next step will be to use a Sharpie marker and to very carefully go around all the lines of your tree. I want you also to go around the outside edges of your circle, because when you're coloring, it's going to be really important that you remember to stop coloring when you get to that line of the circle within the square. Now, yesterday, some of you went ahead and did the line across the trunk of the tree. If you did, that's okay. But if you haven't gotten that far today, just skip that part so that the trunk goes right through the circle. And when you're all finished with the outlining with the Sharpie, it's going to look like this. Now, some of you I know have some real small branches. If you get to that point where you have a really tiny branch, you can get one of these pens. I'll leave them over by the Sharpies on the countertop. It's got a smaller tip, and you should be able to do the outline of your little tiny branches. Next, we need to talk about color. So with color, there are two families of colors. When we think about the color wheel, we only think about red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Those are your true colors. Blacks, grays, and browns are considered neutrals. They don't show up in the rainbow, and they're not a true color. So today, you're going to choose a color family. You could choose warm colors, which consist of reds, yellows, oranges, and pinks. So any of these are warm colors. You can think of it like a flame, something warm, light, the sun, anything that kind of radiates warmth and has those colors. So anything in the red family, which is a pink, any kind of yellow, I've got a couple different yellows here, any shade of orange, those all work for warm colors. Or you could choose cool colors. Your cool colors consist of blues, purples, and greens. So if you have a set of colored pencils or markers or a bunch of crayons, pick out every shade of blue, every shade of purple or violet, and every shade of green you can find. Look at all the color choices I have to work with. Then, once you have your color family chosen, that's the color family you will use to color the circle around your tree. So who can tell me what color family I used on this circle? Well, I hope that you said cool colors. I have greens, purples, and blues throughout. Notice that I stopped coloring, even if the grid continued outside of the circle, I stopped coloring where my black Sharpie outline of the circle is. That's a clue to you when you're coloring to stop, even if the grid or the square continues outside of the circle. For this example, I chose to work with my warm colors. What I'm going to do is pick a color to start with, not go inside of the tree. And when you're coloring, I want you to pick a direction and stick in that direction. I find it helpful to outline the outer edge of the grid or the square first. That tells me where I'm coloring and where I need to stop. Then I'm going to pick a direction so that I don't get texture, and I can push kind of hard with my colored pencil so I can get some nice color. The colored pencils I'm going to have for you are Prismacolors, and they give a really nice bright color. Now, I want to make sure that I don't ever have the same color right next to each other. So the next square, I'm going to switch. I did pink in that one. I'm going to switch to an orange, and again, I'm going to give an outline around the area I'm coloring first. That's my clue to know where to stop so I don't get out of control. And I'm going to stay in that same direction, meaning if I decide to color up and down, then the whole square, that's the direction I'm going to go. And I overlap and I use pressure so I get really nice strong color. Okay, I'm going to set that one aside and pick another color. This time I'm going to go with red. I'm also not going to do any coloring inside of the tree branches. That's why outlining your square is going to help a lot, because it tells me right where to stop, and that black Sharpie line is also a clue. Whenever you see that thick line, you tell yourself, don't go there, don't color there. Each square should be a different color in your color family. I'm using a warm color family. You can use warm or cool. Okay, so here I go with my yellow. Notice I stop. And I will continue to color only warm colors and only inside of my circle. So when I'm finished with the circle, it should look like this. So at this point in the video, you can stop. You can go get your markers, your colored pencils. There are baggies full of them in the totes underneath the countertop. I will show you substitute where those are. You can put them in a regular pencil sharpener, and you can start coloring. Work carefully and neatly. Now, after you have completed the color family inside of the tree, you're going to use the opposite color family on the outside of the tree. So on this example, I used cool colors. On the outside, I'm going to use my warm color family. Again, I'm not going to color inside of the tree anywhere. I'm going to outline my square first, so I know where I'm going with that color. And you should switch colors in every square. So wherever you decide to start, you're going to work around it so that I don't want two reds ever next to each other if I can avoid it. You might even come up with a pattern of how you use your colors. I'll leave that up to you. My only requirement is that you're using a color family. If you use warm colors in your circle, then your background of your tree is going to be cool colors and vice versa. So you can work very carefully, neatness counts, and color in all of your squares on your grid.